apparently a business associate of my dad's at some point, and they all flew over from Uganda. And in fact, they couldn't even get back. There was some kind of civil unrest in their country, and so they actually got stuck in the States. But like a couple months later, I was kind of like coming around, and I'm like, how the fuck do you have people from Uganda at your funeral? And like, I never even met them.
Unless you're Ugandan.
Yeah, but my dad's not Ugandan.
Unless you're Kamala, the Ugandan giant.
He's just old school, dude.
From WWF.
Somehow he moved these people. He helped them enough. I don't know doing what. I couldn't take it. Probably wasn't legal. I'm sure it was really weird. But he moved those people. And like, that's the way I want to die. So.
But you've already, how old are you?
I'm young. I'm 36.
You're 36. And you have to be aware of the fact that you're a smashing success, Matt.
Yeah, we talked earlier overnight success.
By the way, this is where I get tweets. Yeah. A little too much ball washing in that podcast. Why don't you get off his dick? Like, because he's a guest and he's a success. The Eric Roberts podcast, people went like, that was disgusting.
You were almost sucking his dick. I'll admit, that was a bit. That was a bit much.
The guy could leave at any moment. Yeah. It's like having a deer in the woods. Any noise, he just takes. Like, I don't need this shit, and he doesn't need this shit. It's a fucking free podcast.
Yeah, that was.
But you have to realize. There has to be more. I mean, and you have kids, so I mean, you're done. I mean, everything from this moment on is just bonus.
For
it's
me,
Randyland.
I have to, as a recovering addict, I have to believe that I'm always about to fail, or I won't keep going.
Right.
So like, my wife's like your wife. She isn't gonna let me.
But are you aware?
I know that
you're helping people.
Yes, very much. And that's what drives me now. I used to get addicted to
and it's
other things. Now I'm addicted to helping people.
But the addiction of helping people almost becomes a compulsion to give thanks for being able to help people.
Absolutely. Yeah, it evolves.
It's like this giant circle that by the time you put your head on the pillow, oh my God.
For me, and it was this year that I realized it. I used to want to help people, and I wanted to be the savior. I wanted to be the one that helps them. And I've realized this year that doesn't do anything. I got to be the guy that gives them the tools and the opportunity to help themselves and change their life.
You want to teach them, man.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You know what? We should have. People want me to get Father Tim, my priest, on the podcast.
You talk about him a lot.
I will never let him come on because people will light him up, and the questions will be so disgusting because it's the internet gets involved.
Yeah.
But I may have to just have him sit down and break it down. The get is, in any church like Monsignor. That's the big one.
Well,
that's
you talk about him with such respect.
That's the guy you think like actually picks up a phone and talks to God.
You've probably gotten people to come to church because you talk about him so much.
I've probably driven a few away too.
You think so?
Oh yeah, definitely. People, it's so polarizing. Like when you talk about Catholicism, and people go like, "How could you, blank about, I won't even get into it." And other people, I get tweets. Some guy said, "Heard you talking about Father Tim at St. Monica's. You're on a whole other level now, JJ. Don't even look down." And I retweeted it. And then the next person that mentioned me on Twitter said, "Are you going to retweet positive stuff about you? Because it's gross." And I snapped and I wrote, "You guys give me shit because I retweet the haters, and now you're giving me shit for retweeting positive
Let's talk about that. It's hard. We do. We talked about a certain radio show that gets a lot of attention because they hate on people. My show, everyone watches my show because it makes them feel better about themselves. I'm the same. I mean, Hoarders are so tragic. It's a train wreck. You're like, well, shit, my life isn't that messed up. Well, I watch Biggest Loser because I'm like, well, I'm not that bad off. No big deal. These their fuckers are huge. And so I always, we do it that, but like, if it's not negative, people don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
And I mean, how, you said you do one tweet about something positive and you get wailed on.
Yeah, and then people it's just, well, let's do something negative then to keep everybody interested. What's the worst hoard?
Oh, here we go.
What is?
Here we go.
What is?
This is all people want to hear. An hour in. This is
what's the grossest thing? Because every time I watch the show, I go, this is obviously the worst.
Yeah.
But it's not. It's never the worst. And that, you've said this to me.
This week, I wrote you. I said, worst hoard ever.
And I'm like, how could this week be the worst? Because you've probably said that how many times in your life have you said this is the worst?
Usually every week now. Until this season, it was 2 or 3 specific houses. And now with this season of Hoarders, and I get the worst of the worst. And so...
Why?
Because I'm the only one. My job is to clean it no matter what.
All are welcome.
Yeah, I can't say no. Because if I say no, this person has no more else to turn.
So there's other people that work maybe on a show about hoarding that say that's not really for me.
They call me. The ones that can't, they're like, this is too much. I can't do it. They call me.
I don't want to throw you under a bus and name names, but
No, and I won't. And I know the
guy.
one you're thinking of. Yeah, but I won't. And there's another guy named Corey. He's like me. He'll do just the other guy on Hoarders. He'll do anything. We don't care. Our job, no matter. He's an ex-fireman, so there's nothing he hasn't seen. I cleaned up foreclosures in Baltimore and Washington, D.C. before I did this. So there's nothing worse than foreclosures in D.C.
Well, yeah, there is. The Hoard. You said. All right. Let me.
No,
tell
the
people
difference
the text
between
you sent me.
let me say the difference. Let me. This is really important. The foreclosures in D.C. You don't know what gang members have taken over
City,
the house.
baby.
You don't know what gang members, and it's the MS-13 that's taking everything over there. And those
You want
guys.
some of this?
No, I'm good.
Right.
Oh, that stuff's good.
You want some?
No, I'm good. I got my third Red Bull. But man, the foreclosures were scary because you know if you get shot or not. We actually would take stun guns with us. It's at least in a horde, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to get shot. I might slip
You didn't
in
know
some
going
shit.
into that rat nest.
Yeah, that was for me. That was a bit of a rush.
How much money was in the rat's nest?
Like $120. It wasn't much, but $120 is a lot of money
For a rat's nest.
Yeah.
It probably is the all-time wealthiest rat's nest.
We actually that house we found $22,000 in cash.
Where?
All over the place. A nickel here, a dime there. It was $3,000 and change, literally.
Really?
Really, I'm not lying.
That would take up a whole room.
Yeah, it was. We filled two 5-gallon buckets with change.
And it was 22. But
22,000. We found a lot of 5s and 10s. What she
I was
would
going
do
to
is
say, not with
she
change.
would She would go to the store. She'd go to the dollar store, pay with a 20, and then she'd put the change. She'd put $18 in change in a bag, and then she'd throw the bag in a room. So
Can you write down her address for me before you leave?
The house is demolished by now. It was crazy.
You know, there's money buried in that lot.
We found. Oh, I'm sure there is. We have found. So we're switching quick to the cool things we found. We'll come back. I found here in Brooklyn. We did an estate for a family that was ported out pretty bad.
Big shout out to Brooklyn, Most Def, East West.
We found a bag of gold coins from 1908. The Indian Head gold coins. We found evidence of $2 million that this family didn't know existed.
Now, how much of that do you tell the family you found?
We found $4 million. Yeah, everyone asks us that. We found that we make more money off the stories than we would, if you skim money from the family. The truth pays better.
Because I'd be a terrible cop for that reason. Because if I found $4 million
in drug money, it'd be tough to turn that down.
I'd be like, I just found $3.2 million.
Yeah, it'd be tough. It was negative. Most of our families need the cash, and so
I expect cops to skim. And that great line in Copland, Sylvester Stallone says, "Look around. Everyone's pool is above ground."
Is that movie as good as it really is?
It's really good.
Everyone says that's a good movie.
It's a little long, but it's good. It's certainly one you should definitely watch.
They talk about it on O&A all the time.
It's great. Listen to me, you deaf fuck. I gave you a chance to play cop, but you blew it. So what's the most disgusting thing you've ever encountered? And this is the text I got from Matt Paxton, listeners. And by the way, get his book, Secret Lives of Hoarders.
I do a fucking favors for you, don't I, Henry? You fucking dumb prick, you.
I thought you said I'm a right, Spider. You texted me, I just flicked a black widow off a pile of human feces. Good times. Worst hoard ever.
And it was. That was this week. And I also had a cat crawl out of that same pile. And that threw me. That threw me. To see a cat literally put 2 paws up and push itself out of human shit.
Human shit and spiders.
Cat was living underneath it with the spiders. Yeah.
And what town was that?
It was in Maryland is all I can say. It hasn't aired yet. It was intense, man. It was, I had to get ammonia readers. Like, I didn't even know if it was, like, legally, if OSHA would allow us in the house.
It seems like most houses you should not be in the house.
Yeah, I mean,
not
correct.
just the newspaper ones and boxes, but when there's cat shit and dead cats, there's a lot.
Oh, if I don't have 100 dead cats and 6 feet of diapers, it's boring for me. That's the problem. As a recovering addict, it's got to build each week. It's got to get worse and worse.
When are you going to find the body?
I found one on a foreclosure, and if you've never smelt a dead body, once you smell it, you can't get it out of your hair. You got to shave your head. You got to shave your mustache. I mean, you can't get rid of that smell. It's a very distinct smell.
Tell us the story, please.
Oh man, it was it was actually kind of funny. It was foreclosure in D.C.
It sounds hilarious.
And you got to laugh at this stuff.
I tell you.
Yeah. So I'm by myself. I was scouting the foreclosures. We would always scout them because it was all Latino families. And if we didn't scout ahead of time, the cops would show up and they'd all get deported. So we'd go the day ahead. We'd hand them a piece of paper that says, "Hey, we're coming to clean the house out tomorrow. Make sure there's no illegals here." And so I went to scout it. No one answered. So basically the banks were paying us to break into houses, really. So I picked the lock. I go in. I pick the lock and I go in.
This is after.
This is way before Hoarders.
But after your gambling.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'm just trying to
This when you just started your cleaning
I'm
business.
just trying to make rent, man. I'm trying to make good Friday. And I'm cleaning up houses for banks for almost nothing. And had about 15 employees, actually. But it wasn't very profitable. I wasn't a very good businessman, to be honest, to run that business. But we're going in, and because I cared about the people. I wanted to help the guy getting foreclosed instead of just kicking him out and taking his shit. I just wanted to help the guy get it. And I ended up hiring the guys that we kicked out, which was so stupid. And but I go to this house. I pick the lock. I get in, and I look around, and this house is like Mac Daddy perfect. And I'm really nervous. And so I go out, and I'm by myself. So I'm like, man, there's somebody in there. So I go, I'm like looking around for someone to go in there. So I start just asking these dudes off the street, I'll give you $20 to go in this house with me. And they're all looking at me like, what the fuck? No way. Like, I think they're thinking I'm trying to blow them or something. Right. And, I'm like, come on, let's go. Let's go. Finally get a cable guy, the local cable installer. He's like, yeah, I got you. I'll go with you. And we go in, and it starts to smell, but I didn't know what that smell was. We hit a turn. We get to and there's a dude laid back in a lazy boy, hands back, head back. He had shot himself. And he'd been in there for, probably 5 months, 6 months.
Oh, my God.
It was intense, man. Intense.
Was he mummified?
It had dried up a lot. It wasn't. And it was, you could see, like, the blood had dripped from his hands till it was like a solid stream of blood that had solidified. It was awful.
And what?
You're welcome for that, by the way.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Did he shoot himself in the face?
Yes, head was back. Mouth. It was awful.
And was his head, blown apart, or was it oddly
There
intact?
was a distinct hole, yeah.
A big hole.
Yeah, it was not big, but it was there.
Now,
it was awful.
Is it when people say, like, man, it's just like when they do it in the movies, or is it this thing where you
No,
go,
it wasn't
this
that
is
magical.
nothing like the movies?
No.
They'll never be able to do a makeup job.
No. Thanks for getting that back in my head, by the way.
My friend Billy Mack is a cop, and he said there was a Coca-Cola heiress that lived down on, I think we were on 44th Street. He told me this Wednesday. We were driving to a gig. He was driving me over there because I don't have a car in the city. And he said it was reported that she had been killed. And they went because he was homicide. And when they went, she'd been in there. Not only had she been killed, but she'd been in there he said she was mummified. Like she was crinkly, crackly.
We hear about hoards all the time.
And she was a hoarder. Yeah. They couldn't get in the door, but it's like that smell you said.
Oh, the smell's instant. With the hoarders, though, they actually, we had a guy in Vegas that his wife died. The cops couldn't find him. They thought that maybe the guy did something with the wife. She was in the house. The dogs, whatever the cadaver dogs, couldn't find her. They couldn't smell her. And then 2 weeks later, he tripped over her in his own house and he found her.
Was this on the show? Or
No. We tried to clean it up, but they didn't want us to help. Yeah, that was a tense one. For the cadaver dogs, couldn't even find the lady. That's how bad.
Those cadaver dogs. Dogs are.
They'll find anything.
Yeah, and they'll tell you where a dead body was for an hour.
Yeah.
Obviously there was a dead body in the suitcase.
Yeah, they can't find it.
When I worked at Fox Sports, they had bomb dogs. It was after 9/11. You couldn't get into the building. And I said, "How good are these dogs?" And the guy said, "Hey, well," and he handed me a pouch the size of, I don't know, a tin of tobacco, but it was a little pouch and it had gunpowder in it. He goes, "Go in your dressing room and hide this anywhere." And I put it down the sink.
Test. We should be. Yep, we're live now.
Did we get dildos in, Matt?
Well, I hope we got the dildos in.
We have a technical difficulty. We were left to our own devices. The memory card got full on the recording device. For you tech heads out there, Matt took the memory card out of his own phone. So we will have Smodcast people upload this back up onto the entire podcast to make you one whole thing. The problem is we don't know where this podcast stopped recording because we don't sit and stare at the memory card because we're having an actual conversation. So I want to make sure that dildos made it in, Matt.
All right, so recap the dildo story. We found about 100 dildos under a lady's bed. She was dying of cancer, and for some reason there was a bunch of pubic hair stuck to the dildos, and that is the grossest thing I've seen.
And you said hoarders are pro-dildo.
They are pro-dildo.
It's very common, you said.
Very common. I've said before, the rabbit is apparently the number one selling sex toy out there. I see that in every single house. And then after that, it's generic dildos. And there's one dildo that has a remote control. I didn't know that.
I don't know anything about dildos.
They have remote controls.
Are these dildos or vibrators? Is there a difference that you see culturally between blacks, Latins, and whites, Asians?
All right, good question.
In the hoarding.
I got asked this. I got in trouble for this. I don't see it happening in Latino families, and I'll just say my answer. People sometimes don't like it. Latino families tend to have stronger family structures, and they have multiple generations. They take.
That's what Reggie White got in trouble for saying.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Well, they just take care of their own, to be honest.
Yeah.
And I think that's a good thing. I don't think it's a negative thing. But they apparently a business associate of my dad's at some point, and they all flew over from Uganda. And in fact, they couldn't even get back. There was some kind of civil unrest in their country, and so they actually got stuck in the States. But like a couple months later, I was kind of like coming around, and I'm like, how the fuck do you have people from Uganda at your funeral? And like, I never even met them.
Unless you're Ugandan.
Yeah, but my dad's not Ugandan.
Unless you're Kamala, the Ugandan giant.
He's just old school, dude.
From WWF.
Somehow he moved these people. He helped them enough. I don't know doing what. I couldn't tell you. It probably wasn't legal. I'm sure it was really weird. But he moved those people. And like, that's the way I want to die. So
a compulsion to give thanks for being able to help people.
Absolutely. Yeah, it revolves.
It's like this giant circle that by the time you put your head on the pillow, oh my God.
For me, and it was this year that I realized it. I used to want to help people, and I wanted to be the savior. I wanted to be the one that helps them. And I've realized this year that doesn't do anything. I got to be the guy that gives them the tools and the opportunity to help themselves and change their life.
You want to teach them, man.
I want to exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
You know what? We should have people want me to get Father Tim, my priest, on the podcast.
You talk about him a lot.
I will never let him come on because people will light him up, and it's a fucking free podcast.
Yeah, that was.
But you have to realize there has to be more. I mean, and you have kids, so I mean, you're done. I mean, everything from this moment on is just bonus.
For
it's
me,
Randyland.
I have to, as a recovering addict, I have to believe that I'm always about to fail, or I won't keep going.
Right.
So like, my wife's like your wife. She isn't gonna let me.
But are you aware?
I know that
you're helping people.
Yes, very much, and that's what drives me now. I used to get addicted to,
and it's
other things. Now I'm addicted to helping people.
But the addiction of helping people almost becomes the questions will be so disgusting because it's the internet gets involved.
Yeah.
But I may have to just have them sit down and break it down. The get is, in any church like Monsignor, that's
the big one.
Well,
that's
you
the
talk
guy.
about him.
That's
the
such
guy.
Respect.
That's the guy you think like actually picks up a phone and talks to God.
You've probably gotten people to come to church because you talk about him so much.
I've probably driven a few away too.
You think so?
Oh yeah, definitely. People, it's so polarizing. Like when you talk about Catholicism, and people go like, "How could you, blank about, I won't even get in." But you've already. How old are you?
I'm young. I'm 36.
You're 36, and you have to be aware of the fact that you're a smashing success, Matt.
Yeah, we talked earlier overnight success.
By the way, this is where I get tweets. A little too much ball washing in that podcast. Why don't you get off his dick? Like, because he's a guest and he's a success. The Eric Roberts podcast, people went like, that was disgusting.
You were almost sucking his dick. I'll admit. That was a bit. That was a bit much.
The guy could leave at any moment.
Yeah.
It's like having a deer in the woods. Any noise, he just takes. Like, I don't need this shit, and he doesn't need this shit.